I wanted to discuss a topic that I've come across a lot as a guitar teacher over the years, and that's the idea that is it too late to start playing guitar as an adult if you reach a certain age, especially over 40. I think that's kind of the bigger age that we think of as like, oh, am I too old? And I think there's some important things to consider as an adult starting as a beginner that we're going to talk about today. If you don't know, my name is Joshua Kenson. I help new guitarists reach their musical goals. If that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, feel free to subscribe. So to start with, I'm going to do something I really haven't done on this channel yet, and that's talk a little bit about where I came from and my kind of musical story. I started playing guitar when I was, I want to say 11, whatever 6th grade is. So in that kind of 11, 12 time period there. And it immediately felt like home. I know that's not the case for everybody, but I was hooked immediately, wanting to play as much as I possibly could. My dad was a musician, guitar player. He did not teach me. One of the things that he said early on is, I'm going to do you a favor and get you a guitar teacher and not be your teacher, which, you know, I think there's some things I still learn from him, but he did get me a really good teacher that I was probably with for about 3-4 years. And then I kind of would go back and forth every once in a while. I took a break and then maybe came back for a few months. But throughout that whole time period, really from like 12 to 18, I was probably on that instrument at least a few hours a day, if not more. It was just my daily life. I would forego other things that maybe teenagers would want to do to play the instrument. It was just get home, let's get on the guitar right away. So guitar's been something that's been really important throughout my life, but there are some caveats there that I want to get into that I think relate to adults starting from scratch as a beginner at whatever age, 20s, 30s, 40s, and above. So when it's all said and done, I've really been playing guitar for about 30 years, and in some form or another, almost 25 years of teaching now. But there is a caveat to that, and that caveat is actually YouTube, because in my mid-20s, I started my first YouTube channel in 2008 with a friend of mine that really took us on a whole adventure really through, you know, about a 15-year span. So 2008, I was putting up guitar covers and some lessons as well, and then really took a big hiatus from music in general. I've always kept on a few students throughout the years, but I will say in my late 20s, I took a big hiatus from not only teaching that kind of full-time roster, but on top of that, I've had a real love / difficult hate relationship with music as well, because in my late 20s, I started a business with my friend that started with that music YouTube channel, and we went and shifted completely into a whole new vertical and did that for about 15 years. Throughout that time, we always kind of would dabble in music here and there. It's always been something that I've loved, but I think that because our focus was on building a business, that really took away some of the love that I may have had and just the simple enjoyment of playing music that I actually feel that I've really regained this last year with developing Kenson Guitar Academy. I've really only been doing the Kenson Guitar Academy for about 6 months now on YouTube, and on socials I just started doing videos maybe this last March, so only really a few months I've been doing it, but it has brought something back into me that I have missed for a long time. So I think that caveat of having left doing music for a long time and coming back to it, I have a little bit of insight into what it may be like starting as an adult, because although I have helped numerous people with their YouTube projects and their creative projects, I haven't done my own since that first musical one back in 2008, and that really stopped. I think I stopped uploading on that back in like 2010, 2011, right there. So it's been a good 15 years that I haven't had music be the focus in my life, the way it's been the focus in my life now, not only teaching to you all and meeting some really great people through social and YouTube, but starting to think of music as something that I not only enjoy doing, but I have that feeling of, wow, this is really going somewhere. Let me put it like this. I had the Kenson Guitar Academy name back in 2022, and I didn't start uploading videos until 2025 earlier this year. I think that relates a little bit to what you as a beginner guitarist may feel like. Am I too old to start a YouTube channel? Am I too old to start something from scratch, this instrument that you think that so many people start when they're kids? Over the years, I have seen so many adults that have started from scratch in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and above that thrive on the instrument. And I think a lot of it has to do with mindset and really thinking about, what am I looking to get out of this? So first off, did you miss the window for playing guitar? No, life is long. Even if you are 60, 70, you got a lot of years in front of you. And guitar is something that, if you, especially you are doing it for enjoyment, it can add so much joy to your life. Any instrument, any kind of creative endeavor, I think, if you are enjoying the process of it, not necessarily trying to get to any sort of finish line, there is no window in which that you missed to get that feeling and to live in that moment of learning a song or learning a technique and just doing it for the enjoyment of doing it, not for any particular reason in terms of like trying to finish line. There is no finish line with music. There are so many things to learn. We really just need to enjoy walking that path without really, you can have a destination in mind, but don't think of it as, if I don't get there by this point, I'm off track, I'm not where I should be. I don't think that's the case. What you also find when you jump into this instrument, that you are going to, it's almost like one of those paintings where it's the dots, right? So if you're right up on it and you see all those little dots, it doesn't really make any sense. But then when you pull away from it, that image reveals itself, right? There are so many like little bits of knowledge that you learn throughout doing this that may not even connect right away, but you have this little tidbit here and this tidbit here, and eventually those things connect, and you're like, oh, I get how those two things relate. So there is no one clear path to learning the instrument. There are so many ways to go about this. There are taking one-on-one lessons. You can do the online thing. I think it's finding what works for you, what you really relate to. Because some people like to walk it alone. They want to just look at videos, or they want to look at a book and go through it solo. That's cool. Do that. I think teachers can be a very valuable tool, but at the same time, if you get a teacher, whether that's, me here or, somebody else in person, if you don't click with that person, there's no shame in just going to a different teacher. I think you should be open to learning things and giving it a try with a teacher, but ultimately if they aren't, you're not feeling connected to that, it's okay to move on to somebody else. So you didn't miss the window. It's right in front of you. You just got to look through it. Actually, starting as an adult, I think, has a lot of advantages over starting as a kid. Starting as a kid or a young adult, the main advantage is time. Right? Obviously, you have a lot more time and a lot less responsibility most of the time. If you're, I can remember being a teenager and just, I had an extra 4 or 5 hours a day that I could just put into the instrument. But there are also advantages to being an adult starting this, because we're more developed, right? Like, we know how to manage time better. We might have a better game plan in terms of putting a path forward for ourselves into learning this. And on top of that, if you're doing this mainly for the joy of it, there's no, I can remember being 18 and being like, oh man, I didn't, sign with a record label yet. I'm too old or whatever. Like, you put these weird expectations on yourself when you are at that age, at least I did. And I think I've come to learn that, like, it's so much more about just doing it and closing out all that noise. I wish I would have had that when I was 18. And just enjoyed the process of it all. So the ability to put a plan into action and to manage your time better, those are really things that, I think adults are more equipped to do. So you might, in that sense, be better equipped than that, obviously, that 12-year-old that's just like kind of going about it day by day and not really thinking about where they're heading down that path. You can kind of get the best of both worlds, that plan of action, the regular practice, but then also putting in the time just to sit and play with the instrument. There is absolutely a difference. I explain this to a lot of students, a difference between practice and play. Both are very important. And if you have the time to do it, if you have an hour a day to put into this, breaking that up into both focused practice and then more of a free play is a great way to move forward on the instrument. We cannot forget why we are actually doing this. And I think for most people, at least I hope that this is why they are doing it. It is to bring joy into their life. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, I mean, really, what is the point? This is music. It should be fun. Not to say that there aren't going to be things that are challenging, but I think that is another mindset shift that we need to do. So as we run into things that are frustrating, because there are going to be things that are frustrating, how do you look at that? As a kid, you might look at that as like, I'm just going to do something else. Well, as an adult, you might look at it as a challenge to get through. Don't, put a necessarily a time limit on like, I just need to get this by this point or I'm going to move on. Just look at it as a challenge to try it different ways. One of those things may be bar chords. That gives a lot of people a lot of grief when they first start. But I think your mindset in how you are approaching this, having the plan in action, making sure you're having fun with it, looking at frustrations more as challenges is a great way to look at things. This also gives you a really great excuse to do something that you probably haven't done in a long time, and that is maybe get back to that inner child a little bit and play. This is a free thing. You don't need to overthink it sometimes. Sitting down with the instrument, strumming a few chords, being free with it, enjoying the sounds that are coming out of the instrument is a great thing. There doesn't need to be some crazy bar that you're trying to reach here. It's, are you enjoying what you are doing? Did I play that song, that chord progression, that scale? It took you a couple weeks to get through it, but you got through it. This can bring so much joy and that aspect of play back into your life. So how about some real practical advice if you're an adult and you're thinking about starting playing the instrument? Let's go through a few things here that you might want to consider, such as what kind of guitar you even want to get. I think the best answer here is to get something that is related to the sounds that you are trying to mimic, right? So if you're into a whole bunch of acoustic music or songs that are more acoustic focused, that's probably a good indicator that you should go that way. But if you're into, classic rock or something that has a more heavy distorted tone, you're obviously not going to be able to recreate that on an acoustic, even though you can mimic some of those things and you can play some of those songs on acoustic. Nothing says that you can't, but if it's the sound that you are looking for, if the sound is that electric sound that you are looking for, you're certainly not going to achieve that on an acoustic. I think either way is a great way to go. Think about which way you really want to lean. Is it, more acoustic focused songs or electric focused songs? And that's going to be a good indicator as to which way to move. So once you've decided what way you're going to go in terms of acoustic or electric or what type of gear that you're going to get, the next thing is like, well, how are you going to learn? Are you going to do online studies like what we're doing here at Kenson Guitar Academy? Are you going to try to do the one-on-one thing? Are you going to try to just get Mel Bay books or stuff like that? I think any of those paths are the correct one. Again, this is much like that acoustic versus electric question. What are you most likely to follow through with? I think there are definitely advantages to having some sort of accountability in a teacher. So when you do have that one-on-one session, they kind of set you up for the week, and then you come back and you can discuss where your trouble areas were. They kind of lead you down a path. That's not to say that every teacher is the right teacher for that person. I think I'm a great teacher for a lot of people. I've certainly had some students over the years where it's just like, maybe they want to get into some deep jazz stuff. I'm not the guy for that. And I am very happy to let them know that as well, because ultimately I want to see people realize their goals. And I've always been a great teacher for people that they want to learn songs, they want to learn the foundational basics. There was a time where I had a lot of students that were interested in learning metal and stuff like that. And I do have kind of a background in that, so I had no problem teaching those kind of students as well. But I think you absolutely can learn online. There are so many great resources out there, but certainly having someone that you can field a question to every once in a while, whether that is a random YouTuber or teacher online or your teacher that you see every week. So I would say be open to finding different paths that work for you. Do the online thing. Go get some books that look interesting to you. Again, that's that dotted picture, right? Once you get all those tidbits, the dots are going to start to connect, and things that you learned from your teacher are going to connect to things that you learned in a book, to that song tutorial that you saw online. There's no one right way to learn this. And if someone says that they have the magical way to teach you how to play the instrument, I don't think they are giving you the best advice there. There are so many different outcomes that people are looking for. Where are you looking to go with the instrument? If you want to play acoustic songwriter stuff, I'm not telling you not to learn a whole bunch of jazz and stuff like that, but it's not really reflective of what you are trying to accomplish and what is going to bring joy into your life personally. I think you should always be open to learning a concept or learning something new that's outside of your wheelhouse or outside of your interests. But let's make it 80-20, learn those things that are going to keep you really motivated and bringing that enjoyment into your life 80% of the time. And then that 20%, try something that's completely out of the norm for you in terms of the type of song that you're learning, or if you don't think that you need to learn theory. I was certainly that kid that didn't want to learn theory. I can get into that at another time. I kick myself though, wish I would have spent more time with it then, so I would have made more connections earlier as an adult than I actually did, because I kind of skipped over a lot of that stuff. But ultimately, we have to look at what we're doing today. And as long as you are picking up that instrument and strumming a few chords, it's bringing some joy into your daily life, I think that's a win. There is no reason that you as an adult cannot get that really almost immediately out of the instrument. In terms of baselines, like how much should you be practicing every day, there's no one correct answer here. I think the most correct answer is play as much as you can, as often as you can. But as an adult, you have a busier life, you have more responsibilities, you may have responsibilities at home and at work that really limit the amount of time that you have with the instrument. Does that mean you can't learn it? Absolutely not. We just need to really set expectations for ourselves. If we don't have an hour and a half to put in every day, you can't expect an hour and a half every day type results, right? I absolutely think though that you can get great results with 10-15 minutes a day. Everyone can find 10-15 minutes a day. And I think the more important thing there is the consistency, right? If you have optimally a half hour, 45 minutes a day that you can put into it, I think that is what most teachers would say for most students if you're not trying to become some crazy, professional guitarist or really level up really quickly. More is always better, but 30, 45 minutes a day of focused practice with some play added in there is a good amount of time. But I would much rather have a student that practices a solid 20 minutes a day every day, rather than the student that maybe gets 2-3 practices in a week or one long session in for an hour and a half, 2 hours, but then doesn't pick up the instrument the rest of the week. Even though they may have put in overall more time, the learning process is much more aided by short, consistent practice sessions rather than one long session and then skipping the next 4, 5, 6 days. So 20 minutes a day is definitely better than an hour and a half once a week. Find that consistency for yourself and you are going to see improvement on the instrument. As long as you are putting in the time consistently, you are going to see yourself develop and be able to play songs and other things in no time. So if I could impart anything to you from this video, I think it would be, why are you getting into it? Why do you want to learn how to play guitar? And if that answer is, well, ultimately, I think it would be fun, it's going to bring joy into my life, you should absolutely do it. We can't get locked into that thinking of, I started too late, I'm never going to improve on the instrument. Sure, there's that idea of the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time is today, right? So let that be what you do. If you are interested in playing an instrument, any instrument, or guitar specifically, I would love to be a resource to you. So if you have any questions on how I could be of help to you, please let me know with a question down below. And if you enjoy what I'm doing here on YouTube and other platforms and you're looking to get more out of what we're doing here, you can also follow me over on my Patreon. You can even follow for free. I have a free tier that I still put stuff up on, but I'm really looking to develop a lot more guided course material over there as you know, like on YouTube and a lot of the social platforms, you're putting out videos. It's those tidbits, right? It's those dots. I'm throwing out dots that eventually are going to create that image for you, but it's not necessarily a through line. So if you would like to follow me there too, go ahead and check it out and let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I didn't ramble on too long, as I have a tendency to do that sometimes. If you found it helpful, please let me know with a like down below. Again, I'm Joshua Kenson. This is Kenson Guitar Academy, and I'll see you in the next one.